She was laughing outside the door. Loud, drunk, flirty. With him. I stood in the hallway, holding the key in one hand and my dignity, what was left of it, in the other. Through the thin front window, I could see her silhouette swaying. His arm brushed hers as he leaned in to whisper something. She leaned back, laughing harder. That laugh I used to hear when we danced barefoot in our kitchen, now it belonged to someone else. I didn't open the door. I turned the key. Slowly. One click. Then another. Locked. They didn't notice. Or maybe she thought she still had a place inside this house. Inside me. 10 minutes passed. I watched her check her purse for keys. Another laugh. Then confusion. Then silence. She knocked. Lightly. As if testing me. Ev, babe. No answer. She knocked harder. Then called my name. Still nothing. That's when the first call came in. Blocked number. I let it ring. Then again. This time I answered. You're being ridiculous, she snapped. Open the door. I said nothing. I'm cold, she added, now a whimper. Please, Everett. Still nothing. I can explain. I finally spoke. Explain what, Darlene? That you smell like his cologne? That I saw you kiss him before you walked up the driveway? She was silent. Then came the tears. The sobbing. But here's the thing. I wasn't crying anymore. I'd done that already. On the bathroom floor. For weeks. Tonight wasn't about emotion. It was about finally feeling something else. I looked at the door one last time. And walked away. But the night wasn't over. Not even close. The sound of her knocking eventually stopped. But silence didn't mean peace. It meant calculation. I knew Darlene too well. When she went quiet, it wasn't surrender. It was strategy. She'd pause, gather herself, and come back sharper, more manipulative. That's always how our arguments ended. Her slicing me down with calm, measured cruelty while I stood there begging like a fool for scraps of affection. I didn't sleep. I just sat on the living room floor, leaning against the couch, phone on silent. She called 11 more times. She texted more than that. Every message flipped between sweet and vicious like she couldn't decide whether to seduce me or destroy me. I'm sorry, I miss you. Followed immediately by you're overreacting like always. Then, open the damn door or I'm calling the cops. I almost laughed at that one. The same woman who'd told me 3 weeks ago that I needed help for being so sensitive was now playing victim behind a locked door she'd earned with every lie. By 5:30 a.m., the porch light cast a glow over the front step, and I saw her curled up in her party dress, knees to chest, head on her purse like a pillow. She looked small, pitiful, but I'd seen her fake tears before, right before going upstairs to text someone else under the covers. At some point, I must have dozed off. When I opened my eyes again, the sun was rising, and the front step was empty. No Darlene. No purse. Just a single heel left abandoned like she'd run off in a rush. My heart thudded. Not with guilt, but with dread. She was up to something. I stood up slowly, legs numb, spine aching from the floor. That's when I saw it. The wedding ring I had left on the kitchen counter the night before, it was gone. I hadn't heard the door unlock. I hadn't heard footsteps. But the ring was missing, and my gut told me she had been inside. And if she had come in without a key, someone else had to have let her in. I checked every window, every door. The back entrance by the laundry room was still locked. So was the side garage door, the one she never bothered with because it sticks. But something felt off, like the air had shifted. You know that weird pressure change when someone else is in the room, even if you can't see them? That's what this was. The ring wasn't just gone. It had been taken while I was asleep a few feet away. I should have called someone. But who? The cops? And say what? Hi. I think my wife snuck in and stole her own wedding ring. It sounded pathetic the second I imagined the words out loud. So instead, I checked the guest room. Then the basement. I even opened the pantry like an idiot, as if she'd be hiding between cans of beans and cereal boxes. Nothing. But then, in the bathroom, I saw it. The mirror was fogged, like someone had run the hot water. And the toothbrush holder? Mine was dry. Hers was wet. Used. She'd been in the house. Not just to grab the ring. She had washed up. Cleaned herself. Like nothing happened. I stood there staring at the mirror, tracing the faint shape of a fingerprint in the condensation. She didn't just sneak in. She wanted me to know she'd been here. That she still had control. That this was still her territory. Then the phone buzzed again. A single message. No words. Just a picture. It was my ring. In her hand. Glittering in some unfamiliar sunlight. And under it, blurred but visible, the outline of a man's chest. Shirtless, smiling. I dropped the phone. My knees gave out, and I sat down on the bathroom rug like someone had pulled the floor out from under me. I felt sick, not from the betrayal that had become numb, but from how calm she was through it all. Like I was the fool trying to hold up a structure she'd already set on fire. She was playing a game I didn't know the rules to, and I had no idea how far she was willing to go. But the next move? That would be mine. I didn't tell anyone. Not my brother, not my coworker Vince, who always said Darlene had fox eyes. Not even my mom, who would have just muttered something passive-aggressive like, should have married someone simpler. I didn't want pity. I didn't want advice. I wanted answers. I wanted to know how she got in. I changed the locks months ago. I watched her key fail in the front door the night before. So unless she had a duplicate made, or unless I was losing my mind, someone else had to have helped her. Someone with a key. My stomach dropped. There were only 2 extra keys. One was in my office drawer. The other had been in the junk bowl near the fridge until it wasn't. I sprinted over, dug through old batteries, expired coupons, paper clips. Nothing. Gone. The shower curtain was still damp. I pressed my hand against the tiles, still warm. She hadn't just used the bathroom. She had showered here, in our house. While I slept on the floor like a discarded coat, I went into the laundry hamper. Her towel was there. So was a small bottle of body wash I hadn't seen in months, coconut vanilla. It used to be her favorite until she said she'd outgrown sweet scents. But here it was, half empty and fresh. Like a trail she wanted me to follow. She wanted me to spiral. And it was working. I called her. Straight to voicemail. I texted, "You were in the house." Why? Nothing. An hour later, a video came through. It was a shot of our bed. Our bed. The comforter wrinkled, sunlight pouring through the blinds. And there she was, lying across the pillows in that same damn dress, legs crossed, sipping orange juice from my mug. Then she panned the camera left to the nightstand, where the wedding ring now sat on top of my favorite book. A book she once mocked me for reading. The video ended with her voice. "Maybe next time, don't leave the window unlocked, sweetheart." I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the phone, but I didn't. Instead, I stared at the screen, replaying the smirk on her face as if she had just delivered the punchline of a joke I'd never understand. She wasn't just humiliating me. She was staging it. And I was finally starting to wonder, was this really just about another man? Or was this something darker? I didn't leave the house for 2 days. Not because I was afraid, but because every room had started to feel like a puzzle I hadn't solved. I began noticing small details, things that never stood out before, like the fact that one of the kitchen chairs was pulled slightly farther from the table than the others, or how a wine glass was upside down in the drying rack, even though I hadn't had wine in weeks. And then there was the faintest cologne scent on my pillow. Not hers. Not mine. Something new. I checked the home security app, hoping maybe one of the indoor motion sensors caught something. But that's when I remembered. I disabled them months ago when we got the cat. The cat Darlene gave away without even telling me. Said she found a better home. At the time, I was too heartbroken to argue. Now I realized what she'd really done. Cleared the house of anything unpredictable before inviting him in. I kept wondering if it was someone I knew. Someone who shook my hand and asked about the weather. That thought made my skin crawl. But it wasn't until I opened the garage and saw his shoe prints that something inside me snapped. Muddy tread marks. Not mine. Size too big. Angled toward the side door. I grabbed an old baseball bat from the closet and went room to room, like I was going to confront a ghost. But the house was empty. Still, the tension clung to the walls. The memory of them clung to everything. That night, she texted again. Just 3 words. "He's been here." I replied without thinking. "Who is he?" This time, she answered instantly. "Someone who knows how to take care of me." That line broke me more than the videos, more than the silence. Because it wasn't just about sex or lies anymore. It was about replacement. She wanted me to feel inferior, outclassed. And God help me, it was working. I stared at the lock on the front door for a long time, wondering what it meant anymore. Wondering if locking her out had ever mattered at all. If maybe I wasn't the one in control. Maybe I never had been. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to sleep. All I did was search. I tore the house apart, not in a rage, but in quiet, pathetic desperation. I pulled open drawers she never used, lifted up couch cushions, checked inside the water tank of the toilet. I don't even know what I was looking for. Evidence, maybe. A name. A reason. Something solid that could explain why my wife had turned our home into a haunted set piece for a game I never agreed to play. Then I opened the fridge. At first, nothing looked out of place, except the light felt dimmer than usual. I moved the milk aside and spotted something taped to the inside wall, behind the eggs. A sticky note. Pale blue. Her handwriting. You locked the door. I found another way in. Just like I found another version of love. I stood there with the fridge door wide open until the motor started humming louder, like even the appliance was annoyed by my paralysis. I read the note again. And again. The handwriting hadn't changed. Still the same curled loops. The same tiny hearts she used to draw over her eyes when she was feeling playful. Except now, it felt surgical. Cold. Precise. She wanted me to know I'd lost control of the house. Of her. Of reality. And yet, I couldn't throw the note away. I folded it. Put it in the drawer where we used to keep takeout menus. The one place she'd never bother to look. That night, I thought about leaving. Not forever, but just for air. I grabbed my jacket and keys, and when I reached the front door, I noticed something that made my knees buckle. The ring. My wedding ring. It was on the doormat. Balanced perfectly upright, like it had been placed there with intention. Not dropped. Not thrown. Staged. I didn't touch it. I just stared at it through the small glass window in the door, afraid that if I opened it, she'd be on the other side again, smiling. That's when the porch light flickered off, and a shadow moved across the lawn. I knew I should call someone, but I didn't, because part of me needed to know just how far she was willing to go. By morning, the ring was gone again. Not stolen, reclaimed. I checked the porch camera, even though I knew she had figured out how to bypass it. The playback showed nothing but static between 3:14 and 3:16 a.m. When the video came back, the doormat was empty, like she had erased not just the evidence, but time itself. I felt like I was living inside a loop that only she controlled. I didn't go to work. I didn't even call in sick. I just sat at the kitchen table with the chair turned toward the living room, facing the hallway, like I expected her to walk in at any moment. I wasn't scared. Not exactly. I was cornered. And in that quiet desperation, I started to see something I hadn't before. This wasn't about infidelity anymore. It was about dominance. She wasn't cheating. She was replacing my reality, piece by piece, with one where I didn't matter. Then I found the second note. It was under the radiator in the guest room. I only noticed it because a draft had blown it halfway out, probably from the window above it. A window that was cracked open, even though I hadn't opened it in months. The note was smaller, torn from a journal page. Just 4 words, written in hurried ink. You missed the signs. The handwriting was shakier this time. Sloppier, like she'd written it in a rush. Or maybe it wasn't her. My chest tightened at that thought. What if it wasn't just her playing this game? I checked the window frame. There were scratch marks in the paint. Tiny, fresh, like it had been pried open from the outside. My mind went to the worst places, strangers, stalkers, even her lover helping her sneak in. Or worse, watching me. That night, I couldn't take it anymore. I turned off every light and sat in the hallway with the bat across my lap and the Ring camera feed open on my phone. For hours, nothing moved. No sounds, just darkness and waiting. Until 2:47 a.m. The doorbell rang. Once, then a second time. Slower, then silence. No footsteps, no shadows, no messages, nothing. I opened the app. The screen was black. She had cut the feed. And I had finally reached the part of the story where I stopped being afraid of what she was doing and started fearing what I might do next. I didn't open the door. I just sat there as the doorbell echoed through the hallway and vanished into silence. I didn't move, not out of fear, but because I finally realized something. This wasn't just about her anymore. This was about me and the person I'd let myself become. Weak, passive, waiting for answers from someone who stopped giving them long ago. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't cry either. For the first time in weeks, my mind was quiet. In the morning, I walked outside. Bright sky, clean air. The kind of morning that used to feel normal. On the porch, taped to the railing, was a plain envelope. No name. No return address. Inside was a handwritten letter, not from Darlene. From her mother. I hadn't spoken to her in years. She wrote, I don't know everything, Everett. But I do know my daughter. And I know you tried. I found this journal entry among her things. I'm not sure if she meant for you to see it. But maybe you should. Folded inside was a page, ripped and tear-stained. Everett never saw how much I hated myself. Every time he forgave me, I felt smaller. I don't know why I keep hurting him. Maybe because he stayed. Maybe because I don't think I deserve that kind of love. It broke me and healed me. She hadn't won. Not really. I realized she was never playing a game to beat me. She was sabotaging herself the whole time, trying to make me hate her so she wouldn't have to face what she'd become. So I let go. I packed a bag that afternoon. No drama. No speeches. Just quiet resolve. I left the house keys in the same drawer where she once hid takeout menus and love notes. I locked the door, not to punish her, but to close a chapter one had clung to for too long. Now, weeks later, I live in a small apartment above a bookstore. The walls are thin, the floor creaks, but it's mine. And at night, when the noise fades, I don't listen for footsteps. I listen for silence. And for the first time, it doesn't scare me. I'm not the same man who locked the door that night. I'm better. What moment in this story hit you the hardest? Was it the messages, the video, the shadow at the door? Let us know in the comments below. And if you've ever had to walk away from something toxic, we want to hear your story. You're not alone.